Start.
Go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this latest iteration of our Town Hall series. My name is John Maneri. I'm a partner with Exit Advisors. We are a small boutique firm that prepares companies for their eventual exit. We like to get in early with our clients, sometimes years in advance, to completely understand their business and guide them toward process and procedures that will eventually maximize their value when the time is right for them to exit their business. Today's guest speaker is a guy that was instrumental in my exit 5 years ago. I was in the energy efficient lighting business for 28 years. I built an operation of people and process that was second to none in the industry. I mean, we were good, but it was always lacking that sales guy. So one day back in 2012, I'm sitting at my desk and a sales call comes through. He gets through the gatekeeper and he's selling this technology that I have absolutely no interest in. And typically these guys got about 10 or 15 seconds of my time before I politely hung up on them. But this guy, he was different. He had me engaged on the phone for 20 or 30 minutes. And at the end of the call, I said, you know what, Jim, call me back in 6 months and tell me how much of this junk you've actually sold. So little did I know back then, but I know now, as I was saying that, Jim's on his computer, salesforce.com, call Maneri back 6 months to the day, sets the alarm. And sure enough, 6 months later, same guy, he's on the phone again, and he's got me engaged again. And now I'm thinking, you know, I need a sales guy like this guy. So I invited him. Next time you're in Houston, Texas, I will put you in front of my project managers and you can make your pitch to them. Now, my project managers, they were killers, these guys. And I knew they were going to give Jim a really hard time. It was going to be a great test for Jim. And it'd be a kind of an interview to see how he handles it all. And Jim did great. He handled it all well. I called him that night and asked him to extend his stay. And we ended up meeting at the IHOP in Sugar Land 3 consecutive mornings. We hashed out a deal. And Jim, about 2 weeks later, was my vice president of sales. As soon as he came on board, you know, over the next 5 years, Jim had our sales going steadily up. And, you know, with the help and guidance of Al Danto and Casey Bright from Exit Advisors, I was able to exit my business and we sold to Osram, Sylvania in a very nice deal. So it is my pleasure and honor to introduce to you the one and only Jim Wheaton.
Well, John, I don't know if I can follow that one up, but I'll certainly try. Before we get going, and I'm going to hit my little start time here, let me kind of frame up the day here. Let me frame up the call. I know everybody's time is important. And I guess I'm on technically for like 35 to 40 minutes, give or take. I'll stick to that. It's real important to kind of set the guidelines of a meeting, and we're going to stick to that. So I'm going to take the first 2 or 3 minutes and kind of give you a little history of me. And it's not for me to pontificate and tell you how good a guy I am, but kind of give you an idea of the history that ended up getting me to kind of this idea of force multipliers. And I'm going to encourage everybody to keep an open mind here, because the results that we're getting off of our marketing structure are in another category. They're so unbelievable. You wouldn't believe them if I told you, and I will tell you. Okay. So I'm going to take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, kind of tell you a little bit about me, kind of how, what, when, where, why. And real quick, I hate slides. I'm not a big PowerPoint slide guy. I think I have 3 slides. If anybody has a question, feel free to ask, but as it comes up. And so I'm going to take 2 or 3 minutes, tell you a little bit about me. And then I'm going to tell you about getting into lighting and kind of one of the things that John wanted me to do when I first started lighting. And I kind of disagreed with him, and I stood my ground, and I guess, candidly speaking, I was right. Now, there may be some people on the call that are wondering, why in God's green earth is Jim sharing all of this hard fought knowledge. I mean, it took me a decade to build what I'm about to show you. And I guess I have a belief that I'm a benevolent capitalist. And whenever I do good, something good happens. And I'm going to tell you, it won't be a matter of a day or two. After this call, something good's going to happen that I never saw coming. So I'm more than happy to share. So I'm going to take the next 35 or 40 minutes to do that. Okay. I hope you get a takeaway or two. You're more than welcome to ask questions. You can call me afterwards and I'll answer any questions that you might have. So who the heck am I, right? So got out of college in 85, thought I was a banker. I wasn't. I was terrible at it. And one day woke up and a buddy of mine says, you can sell copiers. So in a suit and tie in the middle of San Antonio, Texas, in 100 degrees, I was knocking on doors, selling copiers and faxes. And I went, man, this is really hard. And it was literally one guy's effort at one time and no one else helped. There was no marketing. There was no trade shows. There was no nothing. And so I got an opportunity to move to Northern Virginia to sell in the software business. So I sold really big software to really big companies. And what's interesting in the software business, for those of you who might know it, they have marketing teams, they have trade shows, they have user groups, they have webinars. And for those of you who are as old as me, you would take a slide deck, right? The round things with the slides in them, travel to a city, have a meeting, invite people and show them your product. I call that probably the original Force Multiplier, right? And so that model is a model that stuck with me, right? How do we get more people to see us more than just me, so I can get people, I can get inbound, I can get referral sales that isn't because of what I did, it's because of what somebody else helped me do. So before we get going, what is the definition of Force Multiplier? For those who might know, it really started in the military. And its definition is adding a capability to an already strong combat force or a team, right? That significantly increases the potential. So when we talk Force Multiplier, how do I add something into my normal sales process so that I look like I'm 2 people or 3 people or 5 people or 10 people? Now I'm going to say this, and I say this without reservation. I've been lighting now for 10 years. John, it'll be 10 years on August the 6th. I have rowed the boat by myself for 10 years. Not one person has sold another stick of revenue outside of the guy you're looking at for 10 years. And when you row the boat by yourself for 10 years, it's hard. So I get out of software and I meet John Maneri and we make a deal and I come to Maneri Graz. And I'll tell you, John's idea, which is not necessarily wrong, make 1 million calls. Call everybody. Get out the Rolodex, get out your yellow pages back in the day, and call 1,000 people a day. And can that work? Yeah, sure, it does work. And but the answer is do you want your key sales folks that really can close business? Do you want them doing that kind of grunt work, that elbow grease and dirty hands? And do you really want them to do that? And I thought that there was a better way. Now, why did I think there's a better way? Because I watched it happen in software. So to make the engine run, and I'm the only guy, I had to figure out how to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for the next slide to come up. And this is the process wheel. Now, I'm not going to describe everything on the process wheel because I could spend literally days teaching everybody on the phone how I built this and how it works. And I don't know who's on the phone. And please don't take this the wrong way. Don't care, right? Hell, my competitor could be on the phone right now. And I go, well, you don't have me, right? So I could show you my wheel and tell you how to build this. And I'm going to tell everybody on the phone right now, on a weekly basis, I get a lead out of 1, 2, or more than 2 of these processes every week. We're chasing right now, we're tracking 160 deals. We're a company of about 7 people. Okay. So now we do the cold calls, we do the intro emails. If I taught you the LinkedIn stuff, that would probably blow your mind. The Bird Dog Network is ridiculous. But what we're going to focus on is what I call the ultimate force multiplier in drip marketing. So before we get going, I'm going to say this. There are people on this call, I know you're out there, and you can shake your head to yourself that you think email is dead and communicating with email is dead. I'll give you a few stats, right? In the 90s, the odds on somebody opening up and reacting to an email was in the 60 to 70% range, 60 to 70%. And now I've read various articles, it's 3%, 4%, 5%, it's low, but that doesn't mean it's zero. And so people who think it's dead, I would say pay them no, never mind. It is far from dead. And I'm going to show you how here in a little bit. So drip marketing, I'm going to give you my definition. I'm sure the companies that do this will give you a different definition. I kind of, whatever. I mean, they're marketing folks too, right? But here's what drip marketing is. How do I overwhelm my prospect database? How do I overwhelm the system with the right communication, timed the right way so that the response rates are higher? How do I do that? Okay. And remember, I'm one guy rowing a boat by myself. So I wanted to figure out, how do I do that? And so I started to dip my foot in the pool. And the first thing I did is I called a company out in Arizona. Company name's Intellimark. Good guys. I like them. And their idea of the drip marketing was phone-based. Okay. So what they would do is I would help them define the right market, the right people, and I would help them define the message, right? First call, second call, third call. And I'll talk about that in a second. And then they had a team of people, and the team of people would make the calls. And they would make a bunch of calls, right? They make hundreds and hundreds of calls a day, send 2 or 3 people at it, and they would just make calls all day long. And the methodology is simple. So bear with me on the high level here. First call, hey, Jim, we're looking at doing lighting. Are you interested? No response. 3 days later, hey, Jim, I called you 3 days ago about lighting. Are you interested? No response. Third call. Maybe you're not the right guy or the right lady, right? Maybe you're not the right person. If you're not the right person, cool. Can you send me to the right person? No response. Fourth call. Apparently timing's not right, whatever. We're going to close the file. So there's the process. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we did it on a phone basis, and the results weren't all that good. We got a couple of lead opportunities, made a couple of sales, nothing worth writing home to mom about, but it did okay, right? Now, number 2, we bumped into a company called Sapper, S-A-P-P-E-R, and Sapper looks at the drip marketing different. Here's how they look at it. They're like, why don't we figure out who to target across the whole nation, every state, name them. Florida, California, Maine, Michigan, doesn't matter. And let's hone this message and let's make it email-based so that it can really chug out an enormous number of messages. Now, the key here on the marketing, on the email is you got to write the messages correctly. So a company like Sapper, and I'm sure there's others, they have people who really know how to write English sentences, compelling sentences. So they take my message, right? I teach them what our message is, and they write a 4-sequence process, just like before. Hey, are you interested in lighting? Next one says, oh, by the way, I wrote you an email 3, 4, 5 days ago. Did you get it? Hey, maybe you're the wrong person. And then the fourth one is, maybe the timing is not right. I'm going to close the file. Now imagine for a moment that you send out 1,000 or 2,000 or 4,000 or 10,000 a week. Now, there's a couple of keys behind the scenes. I won't bore you with them, but let me tell you, folks, that 3-4% open rate, it's higher than that. It's higher than that. And so if I'm really good at getting the right target audience, showing them, teaching them the right target audience, and if I'm really good at helping them hone the message, the results are going to be ridiculous, folks. I'm just telling everybody on the phone, ridiculous. And I don't have a problem at the end of the call. I'll give you some of the big names that have responded, and it's big, gigantic names. Okay. So now I thought, the Sapper guys are good at this. Let me find another one. So I went out and found a company called Lighting Solutions Development. Now, the name's a little bit of a misnomer because they could really do it for anything. They just happen to kind of want to focus on lighting to start. And these guys use LinkedIn. And let me share with you, there's some fancy technologies out there that would blow your mind on how you can tie together what people type into LinkedIn. You can find your customer database in there. You can have your customer targets, and then you can take the targets. You can customize messages that go to them. You can send emails to them. You can put their picture off of the LinkedIn onto the page. Oh, it's impressive. And so I had these guys from Lighting Solutions Design, and they were doing their own style of drip marketing. And let me tell you, it worked. Now, it didn't work quite as successful as the email program did, right? But it worked. And so now think about this. I have 2 engines going at one time, and they're all bringing me leads. Now, you want to write it down? I'm going to write it down for you. I'm getting between 10 and 20 inbound leads per month. And I would tell you 54% of them are qualified, are the right fit, are the bullseye. 54%. So now I've got the email program working and it's chugging. I've got the lighting solutions and the LinkedIn and it's chugging. And then I said, well, let me go find another one. Heck, the more the merrier, right? So now I found a company over in England, or not England, Poland. And these cats, what they do the drip marketing, but I run it myself. I make the message. I send out the emails, and I'm the one who kind of manages it. And for managing it, it costs me a lot less money. But I'm going to give you guys, for those who are smart, there's a lot smarter people on this phone than me. Be very careful if you're going to use your own email domain for sending out messages. And because if you send out too many messages and you do it wrong and your email gets marked as spam, you're in big trouble. Your email that you've been sending, they're going to shut it down. So the problem with the self-driven marketing drip programs is you could get your email domain in trouble, and that's the last thing you want in life. The last thing you want in life, right? Okay. So, all right, next. What is it that, yeah, so great. Okay, so on the drip marketing, what do you have to understand about stepping into this market? I want everybody to listen to me really, really close. If you are an instant gratification person, meaning you want to hire on a salesperson and you want results in the first month, you want to bring on this marketing program and have results in the first month, don't do it. Hang up the phone, leave the seminar now, go away. You have got to be patient. You've got to be patient. If you're not patient, you're going to lose your money. You're just going to spend money and you're going to lose it. And so I'll tell you a quick story about how we started this. I started it in the fall of 2019, like October. And in the first 90 days, it was kind of the ramp period. And we were excited. We wanted some inbound leads. We were getting a few, nothing really great. And then unless anybody else on this phone was in a third world country and didn't pay attention to anything, COVID hit in 2020 on March the 15th or whatever. And it killed this market. No one was responding. No one was listening. I went 90 days and crickets. And in 90 days, I could have jumped ship. And I didn't jump ship. I said, you know what? Everybody's struggling. I'm going to stick with them. And when we came out the backside of COVID, call it September, the leads started coming in, and they've never stopped. They have never stopped. Okay. So this here. So you got the email driven. That's professional, email internal, the GrowBots guys. I wouldn't do the internal email driven if it was me. the LinkedIn model does work. It's a little bit more, you got to have some more technologies involved. And then the phone call type marketing that does the drip 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm sitting here telling you, I would strongly suggest doing a program like this, number one. Number two, I would strongly suggest that you work with a professional team that can do this for you. Now, I'm going to start to tell you some of the secrets to the puzzle. When the emails are sent out, they're sent out as if they are me, meaning it's my signature line. It's the message is coming from me. So it's not from a marketing team, at least that's what they see. So now how do they do that? They build different domains. So my email address is led-services.com. So they'll build one that's led-servicesllc.com, and they'll send a bunch of emails out that way. They'll do leds-services.com. Well, I'm here to tell you, your prospects never notice. They never notice the email's different. They never notice that, that it's not you. And then, so that's number one. So they build the domains, right? New domains, different email addresses, slightly different. And now they just start hitting the market. Boom, 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 boom. Now, here's the really cool part. When there's a response, for those of you on the phone who are too busy and you think, man, I can't handle all this inbound. You don't have inbound until it's real. Here's the cool part. The message is responded to. Say somebody says, yeah, I'm interested in talking to you. Somebody at the company, and in this case called Sapper, somebody there acts as if they're me. They respond. They go, hey, yeah, I'm interested. I got a meeting. I can talk to you next Wednesday. And now this interaction is happening. I'm not involved in it. It's happening. And then all of a sudden the customer says, I'm ready for a meeting. So what happens? Boom, meeting pops onto my schedule. So now imagine for a moment, you target the right prospects, you build the right message. Smart people, smarter than me, write the email, they write the English. You've got a team of people, professionals that are doing that response. And sure enough, they're going to get some bad responses. I'm not interested. Don't write me anymore. Okay, well, who cares, right? So now, when it gets to me, it's already been percolated. It's already been somewhat qualified. Now back to the numbers. I get, call it, let's keep the numbers right. 10 leads a month, 120 a year, and 54% are the bullseye. Now, how many people here, how many people on this call, you don't have to raise your hand unless you want to. How many people on this call wouldn't appreciate basically 5 or 6 qualified leads per month? I think everybody would go, I'll take that in a heartbeat. Now, who are some of the companies that are responding to me? Borden Dairy, Pods, Armstrong Flooring, Coca-Cola, Geldwen. I mean, I could keep going. It's the who's who of people I chase. So now in your business, in your mind's eye, who is it that you want to target? And if you've got opportunities like I do, where I can focus on a whole state or a region or a nation, it's endless. Now, real quick, and actually I'm probably more done than I thought I was going to be. Here's really also a very cool part. So let's say you have 10,000 prospects that you're writing. Well, thousands of them won't respond. They'll go through 1, 2, 3, 4, and they'll never say a word. No big deal. 4 or 5 months later, cycle them right back through, because things change. Timing changes. In my business, people, if they don't have budget, a lot of times they don't respond. If they already did their lighting project, a lot of times they don't respond. But man, time marches on. And with me, it's I want to keep in front of those people as many times as possible. So back to review. There's the email-based drip marketing. There's the LinkedIn-based drip marketing. There's the phone call-based drip marketing. And then there's the email self-driven. And I would say that one is the bottom of the, unless you really want to manage that yourself and make sure that you're staying within the spam rules. I don't have time to do that. So yeah, so a little bit of results, and then I'm done. And questions can come from anybody. We have seen. All right, is everybody seated? I say this all the time. My wife kids me, right? You got your seatbelt on? 4,000% return on investment. 4,000%. And it's only going to go up. Why is that? Because in my business, I close one site with one team and they have 20 more facilities or 30 more facilities or 50 more facilities. They're all prospects. And then the marketing program, they don't need to write those folks anymore. I got them. They're my customer. And now I call up and I go, hey, site number 2, you're already my customer. I did this project over here. Gold mine. Last but not least, let me share with you a little thing that we did to make it even better. I did hire an inside sales guy. And everybody can be jealous when I tell you the following. He's a rock star and makes 200 phone calls a day, 200 a day. So what happens now is we get a drip marketing lead. It comes to me. I close it. It's one of 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 sites. We go to Zoom Info. Does anybody, I'll ask a rhetorical question. If you've not seen Zoom Info, and if you don't know what it is, write it down. Now, it's a little expensive, and maybe people can't afford it. I get it. Zoom, ZOOMINFO.com. Like literally like 150 million contacts, all the right database, all the right emails, all the right, it's unbelievable. So we get a lead, I close it, we find out there's 50 more sites, we go to Zoom, we download all that data, I have my guy make 200 phone calls. In the last 90 days, I think he's found 23 new opportunities on top of what we're doing with the Zoom, with the drip marketing. So there you have it. I hope I've helped somebody a little bit. Feel free to ask any question you want. I'm glad I stayed way ahead of my time. I didn't really need to take up too much more of your time. And the floor is open. And, Casey, feel free to have anything to ask.
Jim, thanks. That was very interesting and really impressed with the results. Like Jim said, if anyone has any questions, please type them in chat and we'll answer them. I did have a couple come in during the registration. And Jim, you were talking about, the really impressive ROI. What kind of, the question I have here is, what do you look for when you pick a firm to do your drip marketing campaign, and what can you expect to pay? Maybe a range, a ballpark range.
Fantastic question. I have no idea how I got lucky enough to find some of these folks. I do know, right? So what do I look for now? I look for, all right, when I got started, I had no idea what to look for. I mean, I just was shooting in the dark, right? Which is why we did the IntelliMark thing. It's why we did the GrowBots thing. I was just shooting in the dark. So now in hindsight, I would tell you what I'm looking for is the following. They need to have access to an enormous database, somewhat like Zoom Info. If it's not Zoom Info itself, there are others. They got to have access to the data that it's hard for you to get to. That's email addresses, titles, company names, addresses, locations. And that sounds like it's routinely easy. Yeah, there used to be a product called Jigsaw, which then got bought by Salesforce, and they canned Jigsaw. Oh my God, that was a death throw. I mean, holy cow. So what do I look for? One, company that's got access to lots of contacts in the space that I'm calling on. Two, I would say you want to make sure that you have professionals who write, your message. You've got the passion for your message. You may not be the best writer of it. I wasn't. I mean, I'm honest enough to say I wasn't. But man, I found some people who were, and we're just getting great results. Okay. Now, what to pay? I would tell you that in some of the software, in some of the programs, it's kind of like a per lead thing. So you pay maybe like $1,500. Ready? $1,500. I mean, holy cow, that's nothing. $1,500 a month, and it gets you 5 leads or so. Maybe $2,500 a month gets you 10 leads. That's one program I used. The other program, they did an hourly charge. The guys who did the phone calls did an hourly charge of like, I don't know, like $40 an hour. And they told you they were going to dial for 52 hours. And that cost about 13, 14 grand for the whole program. The guys who did the LinkedIn stuff, the problem, the downside of that is there's the cost for what they do, but then you have to sign off on all these software programs that you've never heard of before. There's one called, not Lime, but anyway, there's 3 or 4 pieces of software that they have to tie together, and I've never even heard of any of them, but they work in conjunction, and that runs you about $500 a month on top of the service. So I would say you could expect to pay somewhere between, say, $1,500 a month and $3,000 a month, depending on your appetite for the amount of leads. And I would say to you that I dipped my foot in the pool at $1,500 to start. And as I saw success, I ramped it up. So call it $30,000 a year, maybe.
Okay. I think a good follow-up to that, the second question we had was, and it looks like you probably touched on this already in the presentation, but can you implement a drip marketing campaign in-house, and why or why not would you want to do that?
You can, of course. The answer is, of course you can. I would, okay. So downsides, be very cautious about now, if you're going to do the whole program where you build your own domains and you go out to Google and you set them up. My LinkedIn guys did that for me, right? Hey, Jim, we're going to set up these other LinkedIn or these other Google addresses that look like they're you. Could you do it yourself? Yes. Would I find it hard to do? Yes. And here's why. I'm going to give you why. So you build 4 or 5 or 6 domains, and there's some limit. And I'll have to tell you, I kind of don't know the limit. Let's just say it's 150 or 200 emails a day, right? So now you build your script for 4 emails that are successive, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you have to probably build a little scheduler. You got to then go out and get your domains. And that's probably not all that hard for some smart people on the phone here. Let me tell you what the problem is going to be. Now you send these out, and there's responses like, stick it in your ear. I don't want to do this. Someone's got to monitor that. Is it going to be me, the sales guy, or is it going to be marketing, or who? Then you're going to have to respond. There's going to be people who say, I'm interested. Are you going to have the same group of folks that, for example, Sapper has, and they do that for me? Are you going to have to hire somebody? Is somebody going to have to do that with your company? I would think a little bit more to bite off than I can chew. Matter of fact, I know it is. We don't have that ability here. We're too small for that. So could you do it in-house? Yes. You would have to write your emails right. Have some, maybe you got some smart folks that can do it, right? You'd have to have some sort of scheduler software that would roll them out. And you would then have to have somebody that would be reacting to and responding to the responses as they come. And I don't see any of that, and I don't want to, and I don't have time. So for me, for $1,500 or $2,500 or whatever it is, it's well worth it because I don't have the time to do it. So could you? Yeah, you could do it. I would say, I told everybody they could call me afterwards and talk to me, and I would talk to them. If you call me about that, dude, I'm not smart. I can't figure that out. I gave you probably my brain dump right there on how to do it. And that's about all I know. I wouldn't even know how to begin.
Awesome. Well, that's it for questions.
I've got a question for you, Jim. With respect to the LinkedIn drip marketing campaign, is that something that you do directly through LinkedIn, or are these third-party companies that you're paying to do that for you within LinkedIn?
Great question. I did a third party, and here's why. So one of the products that you need to acquire to do on the LinkedIn side is Navigator. So LinkedIn Navigator is their smart engine behind the scenes that allows you to find prospects that are in your bailiwick, right? So you get Navigator, otherwise you really can't build the lists of the people, right? Then what they did is they set up an automated system to send out an invite to the inbox of everybody on LinkedIn to say, hey, come follow Jim Wheaton, connect to Jim. And it looked like it was me saying, connect to me, or go follow Lighting Expertise and Design Services. So there's some software that does that. I can't imagine doing that by hand. I mean, I can't even imagine the monotony of, let me just invite, hit send, hit this, that, I just craziness, right? Then what they did is they took the email addresses. So once somebody connected to me, it gives you access to their data behind the scenes, and you can look at their email address. And now they built a program that then did the drip marketing, the 4 emails that went out to the email address of somebody on LinkedIn. Now, let me tell you the downside to that. A lot of people put their personal email in LinkedIn. So when they set it up, and I bet most of y'all did the same thing, you set up your LinkedIn, and behind the scenes, it's jweedy3@gmail. Well, there's some people who got pretty unhappy with me, technically, sending them business information to their private email, their personal email. So I didn't take too much offense to it. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. If you're mad, you're mad. And they'll get over it. So I'm not worried about it. So I would just say those pieces of software that kind of bypassed the spam rules, kind of made sure they didn't hit the spam rules. And then the invitations, that was all an automated process that I can't even imagine doing it by hand. I would so not want to do that. And it would cost way more money, I'm sure, to have an internal employee doing that for them. So there's my thoughts on the LinkedIn drip marketing program campaign. It was much more difficult, much more entailed.
And any thoughts on beyond LinkedIn, if there's any other avenues these days that are worth exploring? Email, LinkedIn seem like the top 2.
So here's what's interesting to that question. And as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Casey, I'm looking for another one like Sapper. I'm looking for another one. Matter of fact, I got a call with a guy on Friday out of Texas, and they do what looks to be the same thing. And I say, why not? I mean, in my business, and again, I don't know who's on the phone and not asking, but in your business, if you have a product that sells and it's $1,000 and your margins are 40%, well, that's different than my space. My sales are 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, and I'll make more in one close than it'll cost me for the whole year, right? To do the drip marketing. So for me, if I get one a year, well, what am I getting? 30 or 40 or 50 a year. Why not? So go find another one. So I would say to you that my mentality, I don't have an answer to that, Casey, although it's probably a decent question. But why would I want to go find anything else other than what's working? I'm going to go find another one that works. And it won't matter to me at all if they're writing the same clients. It won't matter one bit, because you never know. Time changes, things change, budgets come open. Let me share this with you, folks, and I won't tell you who it is, but it's a real story. At one of my customers, a guy got run over and killed, like died. And the second that happens in safety, the world flips upside down and they start spending money like it's going out of style. So in my business, things can change really quickly. Somebody can get hurt. A piece of equipment can fall on somebody. That changes the world in our business. And I'm not happy with it. I'm not proud of it, but things happen quickly in our business. So I find another one like Sapper and they can do it just as good, I'll have dueling banjos as far as I'm concerned.
We've got a question here from Mark. He said, Jim listed 2 other companies under drip marketing in addition to Sapper and Lighting Solution Design.
Yep.
Can you recap what services those additional 2 companies provided?
Sure. The one company is out of Arizona. They're called Intellimark, Intellimark. And they do all phone calls. So what they'll do is they have the big database, and I'm pretty sure it's Zoom. So they have access to all the people. That's good. And what they do is they'll form a talk track, a phone call based program where they've got people dialing phones. They do no emails, by the way. They will not write an email, period. So they basically are an extension, they're an inside sales team, but they're relentless. Oh, they'll make calls left and right and left and right and left and right. And the program there, if I remember correctly, there was a little startup cost of like $1,500 where, it was kind of the prep. And then there was 52 hours, or no, it was 13 weeks where each rep called X amount, and it was $40 an hour. It's about $13,000, give or take. And they do it by phone calls. Hey, are you interested? Hey, I called you last week. Maybe you're not the right person. I'm going to close the file. And that process, they did get interest. They just couldn't, unless they assigned 100 people to the phone calls, and then I wouldn't be paying $40 an hour times 100 people. It would have been 100 grand to do it. So that one would have been, it wouldn't have quite worked for me, right? And then the last one was a company called Growbots, Growbots. Now, to the person who asked, could you do this drip marketing yourself? If you want to do it yourself, Growbots is the folks you want to talk to, or a company like Growbots, because what they have is they have the methodology, they have the software, but they don't run it. So I write the message. I did it. I mean, I wrote message 1, 2, 3, 4. I find the people. They have a database that allows you to generate the contacts. And then I'm the one who schedules when those emails go out. And the software, it works pretty easily. The concern I had is I was using my email domain. So it was literally going out jwheaton@led-services.com, literally. And they are quick to note in the product, you don't want to go more than 90 emails for a day for this much time. Then you can tick it up to 125 during this time. And then you go to 150 during this time. Well, what if I erred and put out 150 before I should have, and I got flagged as spam? That would have just concerned me. So, and by the way, that was $4,000 for the year. So if you have somebody that can monitor, maintain, manage, and maybe you set up your own separate domain, then you kind of fix the domain issue. Yeah. And the Growbots guys, I think, are certainly viable. I didn't have the time, energy, and wherewithal to do it, because the responses come in and you got to respond. You got to become me, right? And I don't have time to duplicate me. I got to be closing deals and making money. So that was a good question, though.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, for the question. And we will, I see the slide up here, we will send a copy of the deck and any follow-up information that Jim thinks would be useful out after the presentation today. I have another question from Charlie. What is the new company out of Texas that you mentioned?
Oh,
I think you're talking to them on Friday.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds. I'll tell you exactly who they are. Because I have a to-do to call them. So it is called, right, I want to, bear with me because I see this, bear with me. The guy's name is Gabe, G-A-B-E, and his last name is Draper, D-R-A-P-E-R. And let me make sure that his email, or his, let me just do this real quick search for you because I want to give you the right name of the company. Yeah, here we go. Factor, F as in Frank, A, Apple, C as in Charlie, T as in Tom, U as in umbrella, R as in Roy. Factor, Factur. And they appear to be just like the Sapper guys. And by the way, how'd they get a hold of me? They did a drip marketing program on me. They did a drip marketing program on me. And I went, you know what? I dig it. And so I responded to the guy. I go, I dig it, man.
Yeah.
If you want to do drip on me, I'm doing drip to get customers. Why would I not? So I got a call with him on Friday. So I'm going to find out what's his cost, how does he do it, and because I know this niche really well, it'll be a great call. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, I've definitely been on the receiving end of some drip marketing campaigns myself. I've been noticing them more and more, and they work. I think that there's a definite method to it, and the ones that are crafted well, I've definitely responded. Even if it felt annoying at first, it does work. So
I agree, and I'm gonna continue to use it. I mean, I can't imagine not doing it. You don't have to hire. I mean, think about this. You got no benefits. It's not really it's not an employee. The cost is reasonable. The results are ridiculous. And I can't imagine. I'd highly recommend it to everybody on the phone. You ought to have a call because, man, who doesn't want 5, 10, 15 leads a month inbound? Nobody I know. So any other questions?
Last chance for questions. Any final thoughts or words, John or Jim? We made pretty good time.
Jim, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate your all your information and expertise, and I'm sure our attendees got good value today.
I hope they did.
Absolutely. Well, thanks a lot, Jim. We'll wrap it up here. Like I said before, we'll send a copy of the presentation and a recording out after it's done. And if you have any questions for Jim, I'm sure I'd be happy to answer them as well. You can send them my way, and I'll make sure he sees it. So thanks, everybody.
I'm more than happy to help. If you want to call me, please do.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a good one. See y'all.